When you realize what happens when we leave Judeo-Christian faiths, the chaos, the evil that ensues. When people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing. They believe in anything. The further you go to the left, the less happy the individual. Unhappy people tear things down. The left tells you, if you're miserable, it's America. America and its misogyny, America and its patriarchy, America and its racism, America and its capitalism, America and its inequity.
What would another victory for the left mean for our country?
If you give them the power of the White House, all it means is that more of our society will be crushed.
Has the left's decades-long assault on our culture now put America's future in danger? We've seen the growing denial of biological reality, anti-Semitic outbursts on college campuses, parents' rights being trampled in the name of progress, and the demonization of anything having to do with Judeo-Christian biblical values. It makes you wonder if America really is still the land of the free. Yet all is not lost. The hour is late, but could we be on the verge of an American turnaround? Joining us now to break it down is our good friend Dennis Prager, best-selling author, nationally syndicated talk radio host, and founder of PragerU. Dennis, great to have you with us as always. Hey, I want to start by getting your take on the state of play for the November election. Donald Trump has had momentum, of course, but we've still got a few months to go. What would another victory for the left mean for our country?
So in order to answer your question, the following needs to be understood. It is something that I have been saying for all of my 40 years of broadcasting, because I have studied the left since I was at Columbia at the Russian Institute, studied Marxism and communism, went to communist countries regularly. I never thought what I studied would be applicable to America. It never occurred to me in my wildest dreams. It's one of the saddest things of my life that it is applicable. But this is what needs to be understood. I've been doing a column a week for the last 20 years. One of my columns in the last 6 months listed 25 institutions that the left has ruined. In some cases destroyed, in some cases ruined. And it's the American Medical Association, the CDC, the NIH, classical music, the arts, architecture, graphic art, music, universities, high schools, elementary school, the ability of parents to be free to raise their children as they want, the family. Leftism has influenced a whole generation not to get married or not to have children. It is religion. What leftism has done to Judaism and Christianity has been utterly destructive. We have fewer Americans attending church each week than at any time in American history. If you give them the power of the White House as well, all it means is that more of our society will be crushed. And that's what's at stake here. This is not, I'm not screaming it's the most important in history. It may well be, but that was true 4 years ago. That was the most important until then. So it's wherever the left can gain power, the importance of the revolution, their revolution, the importance of the election is clear.
Dennis, number one, it's a sinister agenda. I don't say that lightly. Number two, the left seeks, it seems, to tear down all that is good and true. You've studied the left, as you said, for decades now. What drives the left? These are secular humanists, by and large, at the end of the day. What is their motivating force, again, to essentially tear down Judeo-Christian Western civilization?
That's the hardest question I have probably had to confront in my life. What animates people to tear down that which is good? Because they don't think they're bad. They think they're good. That's true, of course, for almost every group that does bad. but nevertheless, that's what they think. So here are a few answers, and I'll try to be brief. One is that is a great line. It's not mine. We don't know whose it is. They often say it's G.K. Chesterton, but we don't know. When people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing. They believe in anything. It's a brilliant line, and that is very key. The post-Judeo-Christian world in which we live, with the breakdown of all the Bible-based religions which have formed American religious life, we have substitute secular religions. Feminism is a religion. Marxism is a religion. Socialism is a religion. Environmentalism is a religion. Diversity, equity, 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 equity. Since the French Revolution, égalité. When people don't have religion, they will make up a religion. This is Viktor Frankl's great point in Man's Search for Meaning. People need meaning even more than they need sex. Freud thought it was sex, Marx thought it was economics, and Frankl thought it was meaning that most drives people. Frankl was right. It is meaning. People need meaning more than they need anything except food. And when Judeo-Christian religions no longer provide that meaning, they will seek meaning elsewhere. So this is a big part of it. Another is they're unhappy. Everyone knows this. Even they acknowledge this. The further you go to the left, the less happy the individual. Unhappy people tear things down because they think that their unhappiness, and here's my final point. If you're unhappy, you really have two choices. Is my life miserable because of my environment, my parents, my society, or is it miserable because of my neglecting working on me? In other words, am I the source of my misery largely, or is my society, my environment? The left tells you if you're miserable, it's America. America and its misogyny, America and its patriarchy, America and its racism, America and its capitalism, America and its inequity.
Yeah. It seems that at the end of the day, separation from God, no matter what you try to replace God with, ultimately leads, Dennis, to misery. And that's why a lot of people, it seems, have gotten behind Donald Trump. I'd say Judeo-Christians, people who are proponents of Judeo-Christian civilization, see him as a standard bearer for this civilization. Could you lay out, I guess you would say, the Judeo-Christian case for Donald Trump? Because a lot of people on the left say, look, how could you support this man? He does not represent Christian values, but man, he sure defends Christian values time and time again, and Jewish values.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Look, there is an answer which means nothing to a leftist, but is the answer. If God could choose King David, who in some ways made Donald Trump look like a saint, to be his anointed, and to be the ancestor of the Messiah for both Jews and Christians, then I suspect we can rely on Donald Trump. King David went after not a porn star. He went after the wife of a general of his, whom he sent to battle, knowing he would get killed, so he could take his wife. So that's pretty bad.
And he was a man after God's own heart.
That's the point. That's the point. God uses sinners. So it's the immaturity of it. Oh, you believe that Donald Trump can represent Judeo-Christian values? Look at his personal life. Look at almost anybody's personal life. Not anybody's. There are some truly noble individuals. But the issue for leaders is, do they advance the values, not how do they personally live?
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to talk about Israel in a minute, but I know you've been watching everything happening across the Western world very closely. We see the left gaining major traction in Britain and France recently. At the same time, we've got the right making some gains in Europe as well. Talk about a post-Christian West, a post-Christian Europe. Do you see this almost as America, in a sense, especially if Donald Trump prevails in November, as kind of a last bastion for sanity and Western values as Europe falls by the wayside.
Yes, of course. And so do all traditional believing people on Earth generally. Yeah. That's why, look, how America goes to a large extent is how the world goes. I wish it weren't the case. I wish we could rely on more than America. I mean, look at Argentina. They have this spectacular man, Javier Milei, as the president, who is leading a revival of Argentina, and he's in love with Israel, in love with Judaism, and he's a Christian. And he's driving the left crazy in Argentina and in Latin America. Look, you have Geert Wilders in the Netherlands. I mean, there is definitely a reaction taking place. France and Britain, to a certain extent, are outliers in this regard.
Yeah.
But you may find this, I'm sure you will find this of interest. I have this theory that, for example, it will be Africa that saves Christianity, mm-hmm. and it will be Asians, specifically Koreans, Japanese, and Chinese individuals, not government, who will save Western culture. It may really be that others will save the West. I don't know, but we're not right now. The last best hope of mankind, as Lincoln put America. Right now, what matters is the last best hope of America, and it is not just Donald Trump, thank God, but it is conservatives in the United States. We're big. We're not little. They know we're big. I mean, half this country does not believe men menstruate. They believe that if you say that a girl who says she's a boy should have her breasts surgically removed, you are an evil human being for advocating that. You are evil. It's a term I rarely use. We have evil doctors. We have evil therapists. We have evil editorial writers supporting the removal of girls' breasts if they say they're a boy.
Yeah. Dennis, this is no time to mince words, and you break it down exactly the way it should be said. We had California just pass a law, for instance, where parents do not have to be informed if their child is
No. May not be informed.
May not be informed. It's law. And Gavin Newsom just signed it into law if their child at school is claiming to be another gender. It's madness. And it is evil. That's the only way to describe it.
Yes, that's the only way.
Hey, you've done so much great work at PragerU. You talked earlier about the search for meaning. Part of the demographic you want to reach at PragerU is obviously college-age students. Speaking of madness and a lack of moral clarity, to say the least, the madness we've seen on college campuses over the past few months, pro-Hamas rallies, not pro-Palestinian, these were pro-Hamas mobs physically assaulting Jewish students. Did this surprise you at all? A lot of people seem shocked that it happened in the United States, or was this a byproduct of decades of leftist indoctrination playing out in real time?
Yeah, it's the latter. I have said sending your child to college is playing Russian roulette with their value. And the only difference today from when I went is now there are 5 bullets in the gun. When I went to college, there was 1 bullet in the gun, the traditional Russian roulette way.
Yeah. Dennis, what do you think? And you're so right. And I have a 17-year-old daughter about to enter her senior year in high school, so this is very pressing for me, this whole discussion about colleges right now. What do you say right now as we survey the landscape and we see anti-Semitism clearly on the rise, including right here in the United States? What about Israel's place in the world right now? Israel crushing Hamas in Gaza, a good thing? Potentially facing a major war in the north against Hezbollah as the Iranian regime looms. What do you think about Israel standing right now as the Western world seems to be distancing itself from the world's one and only Jewish state?
There's only one country of the 200 plus countries in the world that is targeted for extinction. and that is the Jewish state. It's the size of New Jersey. The Jews can't even have their homeland the size of New Jersey. If the only state you think has no right to exist is the one little Jewish state, then you're an enemy of the Jewish people, period. Yeah. Okay? You can't say, I love Italians, but I want to destroy Italy. It would be regarded as absurd. I just want to make the point, as I do in my book, why the Jews, the reason for anti-Semitism. Non-Jews who do not understand that anti-Semitism is ultimately a threat, a fatal threat, a lethal threat to them, are very, very naive. When the West dismissed Hitler as the Jews' problem, they doomed 100 million, well, in Europe, so 50 million Europeans to a horrible death. Anti-Semitism is a wake-up call to non-Jews. The anti-Semite is evil, and he's after all that is good. He starts with Jews. He doesn't end with Jews.
So true. And it seems that October 7th, Dennis, you would think, hey, and maybe for a few days, it galvanized world support for Israel and the Jewish people. You would think that would be the case in what was so clearly an evil, demonic act on October 7th. And yet, we've got anti-Semites of all stripes kind of emerging from the woodwork over the past few months. At PragerU, one of your missions is to educate young people, we're talking high school, college, grade school, elementary school, that Israel's cause and Israel's existence is right and just. Can you talk more about your work overall at PragerU, Dennis? Israel an issue, but so many issues you're hitting on.
We have, for example, a black South African member of the South African parliament who, upon hearing that Israel was charged as being an apartheid state and who lived under apartheid in South Africa, he decided to go to Israel and check it out. Is Israel an apartheid state? He did a video for us, and they're all 5 minutes. 5-minute video. Is Israel an apartheid state? I lived through it. And his anger at those who call Israel an apartheid state, one of the great lies of history, his anger is half on behalf of Israel, half on behalf of him. You are cheapening the word apartheid. That's one of the 5-minute videos. So we have 600 5-minute videos, and they are on all sorts of subjects. They do change minds. They're really sophisticatedly done, and they are about America. Is America racist? Is Israel an apartheid state? But many of them are just learning. We have a 5-minute video on every single one of the presidents of the United States, and you wouldn't even know whether it were conservative or a left-wing organization, because all we do in every instance is try to tell the truth. I have learned so much watching our videos. The one on James Garfield, the president most Americans know nothing about, if they even know his name, it's prompted me to read a 400-page biography of Garfield. If your child, by the way, it's even true for your child, but by your, I mean those watching. If your child spends the next years, instead of going to college, watching PragerU videos and reading the associated materials, they will know so much more about life than if they went to college.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And hey, you and I talked a few months ago, and I said, Dennis, what about the state of the public education system? Essentially, you said, look, don't send your kids to public schools today in America. It's that bad.
Many private schools, by the way, including many private schools.
True. No doubt the woke ideology has seeped in, and PragerU is an antidote to that. And by the way, the left is outraged by PragerU, so you know you're doing something right.
That's right.
Hey, Dennis.
What is it? The flak is greatest when you're over the target.
So true. Hey, as we wrap up, some closing thoughts. Okay, the way forward for America. We've become, as you outlined in the beginning, increasingly secular. Do you see the potential for a spiritual revival in this nation? For people to turn back to God en masse, or, I mean, if the Bible is any indication, it seems that kind of revival comes, at least in the case of ancient Israel, only in times of great calamity. Hopefully we can avoid that, but what is your sense of where America is right now spiritually, and if there can be a resurgence of faith in this country?
There can be, this is worthy of its own really prolonged discussion. Most religious Jews and Christians forgot how to make the case for God and the Bible. They didn't know. They thought that their kid will be religious because they're religious. We go to church, they'll go to church. We go to synagogue, they'll go to synagogue. It doesn't work that way. And a good chunk of my life has been making the case rationally why people should take God and the Bible seriously. And it has been effective with young people, with middle-aged people, with old. It's been effective. And my primary vehicle is to teach people the consequences of secularism. I haven't made the case for God's existence nearly as much as I have made the case for the necessity of God's existence. Yeah. When you realize what happens when we leave Judeo-Christian faiths and values, the chaos, the evil that ensues, look at Harvard. Yeah. Then all of a sudden you say, well, wait a minute. If we're really in decline because we've rejected X, maybe X is valid. Maybe we need X to survive. And that X, God and the Bible.
Yes. Reasons for optimism, Dennis, as we close. Obviously, the great strides of PragerU reaching young people and next generation.
The number of terrific conservative individuals and conservative websites and conservative institutions is a real reason for hope. We are the greatest, this is a very sad fact, America is the greatest exporter of toxic ideas in the world today. What is called wokeism. We are also the greatest exporters of anti-woke medicine. So, once again, the battle is in America.
It is. We're on the front line, and thank God, Dennis Prager, we have you on the front of that front line, leading the charge.
Thank you.
Can't thank you enough, my friend. God bless, Dennis. We will see you again soon. We appreciate it.
God bless you.